The Du Bois County Council approves an appropriation for a study of the county's radio systems. Kerry Schneider brings us his weekly report from the Du Bois County Humane Society, and Inform, featuring WJTS Talent Spiel Coordinator Krista Breitwieser. Those stories and much more are up next here on 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. In your news, last night the Du Bois County Council approved a $21,000 appropriation to cover the potential cost of a consultant for the county's 911 radio system and sirens. In recent months, county tornado sirens have failed to work as they were supposed to. It did not even go off on 2 separate occasions. Additionally, the county is dealing with ongoing issues with its radio dispatch system, specifically a lack of communication between the 911 center and fire and police departments due to dead zones. County Council President Greg Kendall says the issue needs to be fixed, regardless of what it may cost the county dollar-wise.
All of a sudden you've got places that are dead zones, and all of a sudden you have people who can't communicate because this radio isn't compatible with that radio or whatever. So we need to come up with a solution to where we get these things done, and we need to get the sirens to work. And I don't care what it takes, what it costs, we need to have everybody warned of whatever bad weather or whatever is coming.
County Commissioner Larry Vollmer told the council that the study would likely only cost $15,000, but he asked for the $21,000 just in case the study were to cost a little more. The issue will be taken up again at the next County Commissioners meeting next Monday, July 1st. Also last night, the council approved a budget to keep the county corrections facility operating in the wake of ongoing issues with collections. Kendall says at some point, the county has to find a way to collect from those that are in the county's work release program that aren't paying.
Some way we've got to get these people to pay their fair share instead of the taxpayers picking up that load. Either way, the taxpayer has to pay. So this is also a way for the taxpayer to finally get a break from some of those expenses, yet we are being soft enough to where we're not making those people pay those bills.
County Corrections Director J.P. Weissite told the council last night that he is still awaiting word from the state on the $150,000 grant that the center applied for earlier this year. He also told the council that collections are running between $42,000 and $44,000 per month currently, which is several $1,000s behind, and money from other funds to cover the gap in collections funding has dried up. The council also received an update at last night's meeting from I-67 Development Corporation CEO Hank Menke on the progress of the highway over the last year. Menke emphasized how critical the highway would be to the county in light of the state's decision a couple of years ago to not extend US 231. The council gave its verbal approval to advertise a $15,000 appropriation towards the corporation and its causes, and some members of the council expressed their desire that local corporations would come forward and contribute funds to the highway's cause. Finally, last night, several members of the Du Bois County Council expressed interest in being part of a study committee for vote centers in the county. 5 out of the 7 members of the council expressed their interest in being on the vote center study committee. Members of the county election board told the council at the meeting that the study committee would likely meet for the first time sometime around July 8th. Last night, the Greater Jasper Consolidated School Board received a feasibility study and presentation from Jim Thompson of Indianapolis-based Gibraltar Design. Gibraltar has a team that has been conducting a feasibility study on the corporation's 3 elementary schools, 5th Street, 10th Street, and Ireland Elementaries. Earlier this year, school officials felt it was clear that from a programming as well as a mechanical standpoint, the corporation's 3 elementary schools were in need of attention. Overcrowding and building issues are at the forefront of the problems. The feasibility study presented to the board last night will allow school board members and corporation officials to look at each facility comprehensively. Greater Jasper Superintendent Dr. Tracy Lorai says none of the corporation's elementary schools have received any substantial improvements over the last 20 years.
And so we're at a point where we either have to decide we're going to invest in those buildings in the way they are, or do we look at elementary education in a little bit different way and also decide what's the most feasible use of our dollars as we move forward.
A work session was held back on May 6th between representatives from Gibraltar, the board, school administrators, as well as faculty and staff from each elementary school, where limitations were looked at each school. During that workshop, Thompson told the board that all 3 elementary schools failed to meet the recommended building size requirements for the current student population. Thompson cited Indiana Department of Education guidelines that found 5th Street School to be 14,000 square feet too small. Using those same standards, 10th Street School was found to be 8,000 square feet too small, and Ireland Elementary was found to be 13,500 square feet shy of accommodating the needs of its student population. Thompson presented 3 construction options during the May session, any of which, if adopted, would result in the closure of 10th Street Elementary. Thompson explained to the board that Gibraltar's recommendations for the future don't include 10th Street Elementary because of its limitations on expansion. These limitations include the school district owning little, if any, of the land surrounding the 10th Street building, limited parking, and student drop-off being on a city street. Lori says the report presented to the board is only the beginning as the corporation and community decides on the future of elementary education in the district.
The feasibility study is really just a starting point. It allows us to look at the buildings comprehensively, look at what the educational programming needs are in light of that as well, and then look at some cost analysis associated with different options. It is a starting point. The board will take that under review.
Lori says more work sessions are planned for the future, perhaps in late July or August, to allow more conversations between Gibraltar and school officials and staff. Later sessions will be held to invite the public to hear what the feasibility study says, what the school's needs are, and to chime in their thoughts and ideas on the proposed project. A Pike County woman was taken to Memorial Hospital for treatment, and a Davies County man faces charges after the two were involved in a rear-end collision with a semi on Jasper's west side yesterday morning. Jasper police say just before 10 a.m., 62-year-old Mary Pride of Petersburg and 53-year-old Brett Graves of Washington were both traveling westbound on State Road 56 approaching Klemper Road. Pride told police she had slowed her crossover SUV because a vehicle in front of hers was slowing to make a left-hand turn onto Klemper Road. Pride told police the car in front of her had its left-hand turn signal on well before the turn, and when she stopped, her SUV was struck from behind by Graves' semi. Graves, however, told police he could not see the turn signal of the vehicle in front of Pride, noting he felt that car stopped suddenly to make the turn. Graves could not stop his rig in time to avoid colliding with the rear of Pride's vehicle. Graves' semi ran off the right side of the roadway after the collision and struck an earth embankment. Pride complained of pain to the chest and was taken by ambulance to Memorial Hospital for treatment, while Graves suffered a bruise to the elbow and lower arm. $10,000 worth of damage was reported to Graves' semi, while Pride's SUV suffered $3,000 worth of damage. Graves was cited for following too closely to avoid a collision. Coming up after the break, Carrie's weekly report from the Dubois County Humane Society, plus your local forecast, sports with Kurt Guxell, and Inform featuring WJTS Talent Spiel Coordinator Krista Breitwieser. That's all up next here on 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.